The way Madrigal started developing in the latter part of the century has been given a name, drawn, as is often the case in music history, from the world of the visual arts. The term is mannerism, and perhaps it's best explained by looking at a couple of paintings. Parmigianino's Madonna with the long neck is typical. Notice how he has exaggerated all the proportions. See, too, how big he's made the child in her arms. The point of all this was that by doing the unexpected, using unusual framing of people, either in the arrangement of objects around them or by distorting perspective, the familiar is made fresh again, and an extra emotional dimension can be expressed. There is a sensual, even erotic quality about this painting. The highlighting of the Virgin's breast makes her as much a Venus figure as the Mother of Christ. Venus and Cupid are of course the two central figures in this painting by Bronzino. Called an allegory of love, time and folly, it's a series of images meant to be read by the viewer. By the 16th century, this visual language had been refined to such a degree that even then, many of its subtleties were difficult to interpret. Still, there's little doubt that eroticism is at the heart of this painting. Now, the Madrigal composers started to employ the musical equivalents of these techniques, and for the same reasons: to surprise and delight, to heighten expression and sensuality. To achieve these arresting effects often meant that the music became harder. The Madrigal began to change from being something a group of friends sang for their own amusement into something to be performed for an audience.
Although not necessarily a big audience. At the time this was taking place, Ferrara had become an outstanding cultural center. If the Duke, Alfonso II, favored you with an invitation to attend a concert in his inner chamber, you would have heard the most renowned group of musicians in all Italy. At their center were three highly skilled sopranos, whose voices had earned them the status of noblewomen at court. It was a sort of discreet professionalism, because their chief role was to sing in the Duke's musica secreta, his very private and exclusive concerts. These ladies, all accomplished musicians, performed solos or ensembles, sometimes accompanying themselves as they sang and danced. And no doubt their movements drew on the rich and sensual language of gesture we find in the paintings.
Dolcezze Amarissime, set by Luzzaschi, who very often accompanied the three ladies of Ferrara. It shows how the texture of the madrigal was beginning to break up. There are still 5 parts, which had become more or less standard, but now with instruments supplying the lower 2, some voices are definitely more important than others. Although Alfonso II was destined to be the last Duke of Ferrara, he gathered around him a sparkling court. It could boast one of the greatest poets since Petrarch, Tarquinius Tasso. His epic romance, Jerusalem Liberated, was a source of text for many of the late madrigalists. Tasso had succeeded another great Ferrara poet, Ludovico Ariosto, whose masterpiece, Orlando Furioso, was to inspire composers for the next 200 years. And when a nobleman and composer from Naples married into the family, something of the southern style came to Ferrara.
Don Carlo Gesualdo's music, with its strange harmonic sequences and passionate chromaticism, must have reminded people of his tortured early life. Gossip of how he'd slain his first wife, her lover and child had spread to Ferrara long before he arrived. But even if he'd lived a more ordinary life, we'd still remember him for his music. Languisce al fin is his setting of a poem by Fontani Rivi that compares the pain of departing from a beloved with the bitter agony of death. It's a common enough theme for a madrigal, and The Gentle White Swan expresses similar sentiments. But what a difference there is between that piece and Gesualdo's experimental treatment.
Che da voi parto,